Animated Scott. I've been so demotivated from graduating university. That is something very common, unfortunately. And this is actually, let's talk about this a little bit because it is a very important thing that kind of ties into demo reels, is that post-graduation slump, which unfortunately I would say most animators go through some kind of it. And I would say out of everything that you do as an animator, this is going to be the linchpin moment. So as animators, we go through animation school. Most of us have gone through some form of animation school, college, university, like an online university, something. We've gone through some training. Now, some are self-taught, in which case there's still going to be this, like, okay, I'm ready to apply, let's go. So what typically happens is once you graduate, you basically are ready to go. At least that's what you would assume. You are ready to jump into the industry and maybe start small and start working your way up. Yay. That's very rarely the case. Most often, once you graduate, it takes at least 6 months to a year before you get any opportunities. And in that time, you can't stop. So this is the big thing that I've seen happen so often, and something that Cameron and I actually have a bunch of plans to help people address, because we see it way too often. We've been teaching animation for, how many years have we been teaching now? 7 years-ish? Like in some capacity or another. And we've seen friends who've gone through that and unfortunately didn't make it to the other side. They just left animation. There's always this slump, and it's the hardest point of your animation career. It's going to be the make or break moment where you either keep pushing through or you just leave and don't come back. So how do you address that? Well, basically, number one is that once you graduate, this is not the time to just sit back and go, okay, I'm putting my demo reel out there. Let's see if anyone answers. Oh, shoot, no one answered. Okay, 3 months later, let's try it again. Send out our demo reel. Is anyone answering? 6 months later, send it out again. Wait for an answer. Still no one hiring. It's very tricky. The key is that you don't stop animating. And this is tricky because now you're on your own. You don't have a college or university giving you a structure, giving you a game plan. You don't have a mentor or a teacher looking over your work, giving you critiques. You're on your own. You have to keep working on shots. You have to keep practicing, doing exercises, doing little animations, even just like little facial tests, body mechanics tests, just little things to keep your skills better. And then you work on a larger project. You finish that larger project, and by larger, I don't mean like a short film. I'm talking like a 200 to 300 frame shot. And then you take a little bit of a break. You do little animation exercises. Maybe, okay, next shot I want to do is going to be a cartoony shot. So you do just a few exercises of quick things. So for example, a head turn, but really make it cartoony and squash and stretch. You do all sorts of little tests. You take what you learned in there, put it into a bigger animation. Keep going. And it might still take 6 months to a year, maybe longer. Unfortunately, another big aspect of animation is the industry itself. Sometimes there's just no jobs. For example, we're in the middle of a pandemic right now. It's very hard to get jobs anywhere because no one wants to bring in new people. Now, to be fair, there's also a lot of opportunities for remote work, but not all studios are going to be open to remote work because it's a lot of security risks, especially to new animators. So, for example, if, let's say, ILM is looking for remote animators, which is very rare, but hey, maybe they are. If they have the choice between someone who's already been in the industry for a few years versus someone who's new. Even though your work is amazing, and your work, you never know, might be better than the person who's already been in the industry for a few years, they will almost never pick the new person. Mostly because there's no references. They don't trust that person, and they have no one who can vouch for them. Whereas the other person might have a whole bunch of people who go, yep, they were really good, they were great, didn't break NDA in any way, they were very good at keeping everything hush hush. That's very important for especially a big studio. So that's very tricky. We're in an odd time in terms of the industry. Now, with that said, does it mean that we just go, well, oh well, I tried? No, you keep going. You keep looking for the small opportunities, and keep practicing your skills. Now, with the practicing of your skills, the other thing that's very important on this is that you have to have a community of people to fall back to and help you. Animation is very much community based. When you work at a studio, you're working on a team. When you're dealing with the animation, you're not just working on your own, you're working with other animators. And even if there's very few animators, you're working with the riggers, the modelers, the texture artists, you're working with the directors, the leads, so many people. We need to be able to work with people. Now, this doesn't mean we have to be social butterflies and go on all the social network sites and just be super active all the time and just talking to everyone whenever. No, I'm not for anyone who's gone to my social media pages, you've seen how little I do on there. I retweet stuff and that's it. Because I am terrible at social media. I'm just awful at it. For some reason, it doesn't feel natural to me. But that doesn't mean that I'm not part of communities. For example, I am part of the Animation Mentor Discords. I am part of Animation Mentor. I help out in there. I try to be as active as I can whenever I can to be helpful to people. If someone asks for feedback, I'll give feedback if I have time. Now, lately it's been terrible and I haven't had much time to respond to questions and stuff, but I'm trying to make more time to do that. Now, this is not just because, well, it's going to help me later on in my career. Yay. You don't want to do it for that reason. People can usually tell. Instead, you want to do it because it's good to help people. When you work at a studio, you're going to be expected to help people, not because it's like just, again, good for my job, but because you're actually a good person. People want to work with nice people. So, yeah, I do need a time machine. Very much so. There's not enough hours in the day. But that's going to be very important. You have to have some sort of network. Now, if you go to college or university, you will most likely have some form of that. Animation Mentor is fantastic for this. It's one of the reasons why I still teach there, because I love the community so much. A lot of the people in here are Animation Mentor students, and I see them in the classes that I teach. I see them on the Discord group. Like, it's a really tight-knit community that help each other out. I've seen all of these students in here helping other students on the campus, and then later on when they graduate, they're still helping out and being part of the community. That is huge. Do not underestimate that. If you are basically, you graduate and then you just go into a little bubble and again, just throw out your reel and wait. And then, oh shoot, no answer. Throw out your reel and then wait and do nothing else other than that. That's not enough. It honestly just is not enough. You're not going to be able to get further with that. You need to keep progressing your skill, progressing your social, I wouldn't say social skills, but just be part of a community, be helpful in a community, and also show your work to other people. Do not just animate on your own and then show it to no one. Show your work to people. Someone asked in here, do I ever review other people's animations? Yes, I do. That's one of the reasons. I want to be able to help people with that, because some people don't have a network. Some people don't have others that they can just go, hey, can you take a quick look at my shot? What do you think is working? What should I work on? I want to be there for people because that's a necessary part of the industry. And some people don't have access to that, and I hate the fact that some people, that's the reason why they can't get in, is just that lack of feedback. So being able to show your work to people, and again, when it comes to that, it goes into the community part. If you're showing your work to someone, take a look at other people's work afterwards. When I was a student, the general rule that I had was, if ever I asked for feedback, I would make sure to give 5 pieces of feedback to someone else, regardless, no matter what. Even if I just wanted a quick look at one little thing, okay, I got feedback, I'm giving 5 feedbacks to someone else. This way, I'm always paying it forward. I'm always giving more out than I'm receiving. As much as that might seem kind of counterintuitive, it actually does help. It helps in 2 ways. One, it makes you, as a network, it builds your social network. And again, you're doing this because you want to help people, not to get ahead or use people along the way. People can tell. So there's that. But the second reason is it trains your eye. Yeah, exactly. Sin, you're already ahead of me. So it trains your eye. You learn what to look for in a shot. What doesn't work? What does work? And then when you animate your own shots, you can get better. You get faster. You've been in my classes so long. You know exactly what I'm going to say at all times, probably at this point. Focus on the hands. That's the main thing. The one thing I always critique people on. So by learning to analyze work, find the mistakes, and not just find the mistakes, but figure out solutions, potential solutions. They might not be right, but it starts working that problem-solving part of your brain. So when you get to your own shot, you can apply it to your own work. Your work gets better. You show it to people. It's already at a higher level. They give you feedback. It goes even higher. It's a cyclical process that just keeps improving your work over and over and over. So when you're that song just threw me totally out. Let's see. So when you're when you graduate, that slump is gonna happen. It happens to everyone at some point. Some people, they get hired right away, but then they might kind of finish that project, and then now they're not on a project anymore. That slump might happen then. When that slump happens, it's very important not to give up. I firmly believe that pretty much anyone can become an animator. I've seen it happen. I've seen people who had 0 animation skills who struggled so much at the beginning. And you might think you're struggling now. I've seen people who really struggled, like where they would try to do a bouncing ball and the ball is just zipping around and doing nothing. And they kept working at it. And eventually they did it. It might take some people longer than others, but as long as you keep working at it and working at it diligently, in the sense of you're not just animating and just throwing things on screen and going, I'm animating. That's not animating. That's just moving things. Animating is thinking, asking questions. Why am I doing this? How can it be better? What am I doing wrong? What did someone else do that makes that look so good? And what am I not doing? You keep asking questions. You keep improving yourself and try to find the answers, so that when you get to the next shot, now you have some answers to put in and you get better and better and better. That is animating. So when that slump happens, don't feel like, I'm not going to say don't feel bad, because you're going to feel bad. It sucks. You're trying to get a job. No one's answering. It really sucks. Honestly. No sugarcoating. It sucks. But you will get through it. And everyone goes through it too. It's not because you are an awful animator and you should never even, why do you even try? No, it's just part of the industry. a terrible part of the industry in that sense, but once you get through it and you start getting some jobs, it becomes easier to keep that ball rolling, and then you've got your career. So really try to push through it. It's tricky, but it is possible. And again, I've gone through it. I know many friends who've gone through it, and as long as you keep working at it, you will get through to the other side.